Back to that Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.
Okay, friends, it's the weekend, and this has been a very important week. I made an announcement on social media, and I talked about it on the radio show this week, but we had someone come forward this week, and the offices, the people at the headquarters of Christian Solidarity International let me know that for our slave liberation campaign for the year of 2023, we've had a very important development. Someone stepped forward this week and said that for the rest of this week and through the end of this weekend, they are going to basically match every slave we can liberate through CSI. Now, if you have been with us in past weeks, you know that we have been targeting slave liberation in the area of Sudan, northern Sudan. Southern Sudan used to be one Sudan. Civil war came, destroyed everything, but the northern Arabs were kidnapping women from the south and dragging them back to the north and making them their slaves pre-war. The Civil War was fought partly over that, and when the countries came in and settled the war, and the U.S. led the way, and Christian Solidarity International helped facilitate all of that coming together, they didn't do anything about the slaves. And there were about 185,000 that were still enslaved in northern Sudan. So the world comes in, divides up the land, says, okay, southern Sudan, that's where the Christians can live. We're going to let you live there unharassed. You won't be bothered. And the north can be the possession of where the Arabs live. Well, the only downside to that was that nobody went and took care of the slaves that were already there. And Christian Solidarity International has been doing this for the last 15, almost 20 years now. And because of some of you in years past listening to me, helping me with this, we have liberated close to 3,500 slaves to date. And it's a very simple process, and it's kind of reminiscent of how slavery was ultimately ended here in the U.S. The Civil War was fought, obviously, but you remember the Underground Railroad, people that would go into the South and bring people out and get them to freedom, free territory in the North. Well, it's just the opposite geographically there, but the same idea. Arabs from the North that want to have good relationships with the farmers in the South have said that they are willing to go in, scout out where slaves may be being held, and then do what they can to bring them back. When they have effected their liberation and they bring them back, then the process is very simple. The slave has a recovery camp that they get to go to for a period of time. They get to recuperate, receive medical attention, tell their story, explain as best they can what's happened to them in years past, explain to the CSI personnel where they're from originally so that they can be reunited with family. Then they are given what's called the bag of hope. And this is what we do, friends, and this is so exciting. The bag of hope is everything that they need to start their life over again. It includes much more than what will fit into one bag, by the way. It includes a year's worth of sorghum grain to eat. So food for a year. Right off the top of the bat, you've taken care of one of their biggest needs, period. They have tarps and things that will help them protect them from the harsh elements, the heat in the summer and the rains in the winter. In addition to that, they get a year's worth of seed that they can use to plant their own sorghum, and from there grow food for the coming years in front of them. They're given utensils to garden and fish and clean and do things with. They're given a Bible. They're given blankets to help keep them warm. And at the end of the day, they are given a little she-goat that can produce goat kids for the future, and that gives them a micro enterprise to help support themselves. Once they are given all of those things, which is way more than they've ever received in slavery, they are then helped to relocate back to where their family was originally from. Many of these women were taken when they were young children. They've been in captivity for 10, 15, 20 years. They're in their mid-20s to early 30s. They don't know. Some of them don't remember much of their childhood. They have a hard time remembering where they were. And in some instances, they have been, in all instances, the women have been raped, brutally treated while in captivity, in slavery. But some of them have had children that were born as well. And usually the slave master takes the child from the woman once she weans him. But in some cases, CSI has been able to negotiate the release of the children as well. And we're starting to see more of them return to their mothers as well, which is a very, very rewarding thing. It's a very heartwarming thing to know that we're bringing some of those families back together. So here's where you come in. $250 one time provides that sack of hope, that bag of hope, which is everything they need to get started again once we have them liberated. But it also provides the cattle vaccine that the slave master trades for the slave's life. It's really amazing. It sounds almost impossible to fathom in this day and age, but someone would value a piece of cattle more than a human being. But that's exactly what the slave masters have, and they can't get this particular vaccine called Navidium. It helps the cattle survive the harsh weather. And so they will, for one vaccine, they will release one slave. Once they are back to the safety of South Sudan, there's been zero recidivism. There's no recapturing of any of these. The agreement that was established by the two sides at the end of the war settled that. But friends, there's of the 185,000 that were in captivity at the beginning of the war, there are probably close to 30,000 left. And that's because of the diligence of Christian Solidarity International, you and other people just like you working together to liberate them. This year, our goal is 192 slaves. We have names on a list of 192 that can be released, but we cannot guarantee that they can be relocated if we don't have their bag of hope spoken for. And that's where we need you to help us. Will you liberate one slave tonight? If you do, here's the big news. There is another listener that is going to match that. So for every slave we can liberate right now, this evening, someone else is coming alongside and saying, I will do the same thing, person for person. So if we had 40 people go to the phone right now, 888-342-1010, and each one of them liberated one slave, this other matching donor would do 40 slaves in one gift. We are at 72. We need 192. That's 120 that are left. Will you help us? 888-342-1010. 888-342-1010.
We'll be right back. That Kevin